In this video, I'm going to be going over 20 new features that are going to be coming to Ark Survival Ascended. Number one is there's going to be 9 remastered maps, all of them coming from Ark Survival Evolved, and they're going to be coming to Ark Survival Ascended. They're going to be completely remade. First off with Aberration, which is the soonest one, and it's going to be coming out on September 4th. This is the only one we know an actual release date of, as the roadmap they released is really outdated, but we are getting a ton of maps like Ragnarok, which is going to be coming next, and then Extinction, and then Genesis Part 1 and 2, as well as Volguero and Lost Island and Fjordur. So there's going to be a ton of maps coming. They're all going to get remastered with new creatures and stuff, and we'll go over all that later. And number 2 is the Dinosuchus. This is a brand new creature coming to Ark Survival Ascended. It's coming out extremely soon. It comes out July 17th, which is like a day or two after this video releases, and it could even be out by the time you're watching this video, which is really possible. But a lot of creatures from the Ark Editions mod, which if you don't know is a really popular mod that adds a bunch of new creatures to the game, are being ported officially to the game, and this is one of them, the Dinosuchus, and there's going to be a bunch more in this video. But the Dinosuchus itself, it's really cool. It's like twice the size of the Sarco, maybe even a little bit bigger, and it has this thing, the Gigabyte, where you can basically charge up a giant bite that does a crap ton of damage, and it's really cool. And then after that, number 3 is the Acrocanthosaurus. This is another Ark Editions creature, but we don't know the release date of it. Probably sometime this year, but we don't know the exact date. This one is pretty dope. It's like in between the size of a Rex and a Giga, and it does like this stance where you can basically like take less damage. It's got a really dope roar as well. You can also go into this rage mode where it basically does like extra damage and all kinds of stuff. If it takes enough damage, it will go into rage mode, and it's really cool. And number 4 is the Steampunk Aberration DLC. So if you own the Bob's Tall Tale DLC, then you will already get this when it comes out, but it is part of that DLC, and basically when Aberration comes out, we're not exactly sure if it's going to release when Aberration drops or if it comes out later the year. We're not entirely sure on that, but either way, it will come out at some point, and basically it's going to add a bunch of new stuff. We only know a little bit of what it's going to add. First off is the Zeppelin, or the blimp, which of course we're not really sure how that one's going to work either, if it's just going to be a blimp you can fly around like a vehicle. What it looks like from this picture is you could see someone's riding it, so maybe you could just glide around with it. We're not entirely sure. But then there's the like steampunk skin outfit, which could be pretty cool looking, and then there's the like goggles for the rock drake. Now this could be goggles on all creatures, or it could just be a rock drake skin. We'll just have to see with that one, but I think having steampunk goggles for like all the creatures, kind of like the glasses skin, would be pretty cool. And number 5 is the Brachiosaurus. This is a brand new creature coming to the game from the Ark Editions mod, and the thing is, when this thing gets added, it's actually going to get a TLC update, so it's going to get a new model and stuff. A lot of the abilities are probably going to stay the same, but it's going to get a complete new remodel, so we'll have to see how that one works. It'll probably end up looking pretty cool though, and it has a bunch of abilities. First off, it has like this like gigantic stomp it does where it stands on its hind legs. It also has a roar that can scare away a Giga, which is pretty dope, as well as it can harvest pretty much every resource in the entire game, like metal and berries and wood and flint. Pretty much anything you could possibly think of, it can harvest. And number 6 is the Dinotherium. This one is a really cool one coming from the Ark Editions mod once again. I don't think this one's getting a TLC update or anything, so this is pretty much how it's going to look when it comes to the base game. But it is really cool. It's like bigger than a mammoth or paracer, so this thing's going to be absolutely massive, as well as it's just a really cool looking gigantic elephant. I'm excited to see this one coming to the game. And number 7 is the Wasteland DLC for Extinction. This one's also bundled in with the Bob's Tall Tales one, so if you have that DLC, you'll automatically get this, as well as the Aberration one as well. So that is going to be a lot of DLCs you're going to get for that. But this one, we don't know everything in it, of course. We do know a few things, though. Obviously, it looks like a Mad Max style thing with the skin up there, like the little mohawk and the gigantic whatever he has, those dagger things. They look really cool, honestly. This is probably the most excited I am for one of these Bob Tall Tales DLCs, because the skins on this one look phenomenal. And if you go to the bottom there, you can see like a dune buggy, so we're actually going to get another dune buggy. We've had them before, like in Ark Survival Evolved. We had the Tech ATV and it sucked, it was horrible, so hopefully they can actually make this dune buggy good and worth using. I really do hope. And then after that, you could see there's like an armor. I'm assuming this is a skin for the Volanosaur, and this one looks really cool as well. It could actually just be armor, but I doubt that. It'll probably just be a skin, but it's still going to be pretty dope either way. And number 8 is the Archelon. This is another new creature, and this one's actually going to get a huge TLC as well, so it's not going to look like this when it comes to the base game. but it's going to have even more stuff. Like its saddle is going to have oxygen tanks on it, and it's going to look completely different, so you'll be able to breathe underwater with it. But the main abilities this thing has is if you kill jellyfish, it gets a jellyfish killer buff, and it can harvest a ton of biotoxin, which is like the only thing it eats, so you need to feed it biotoxin, which means you can use this thing to go around and harvest a ton of the biotoxin. So if you need to get shocking tranquilizer darts or something like that, or you just want to use biotoxin instead of narcotics, which you can do, and they're actually more effective, then this would be the best way to go about it. And number 9 is the Dreadnoughtus. This is a brand new creature. It's not an Arcadations creature. This is one that was voted in by the community, and it's going to be coming to Extinction. It's going to be exclusive for Extinction on this map. It's known as the Titan Killer, as you can see in its dossier at the top left. There's it fighting in the Ice Titan, which, if you know, the Ice Titan is absolutely massive, so you could see how big this thing's really going to be. And it's going to have some cool abilities, like it's going to be able to swallow, I think, cannonballs and basically coat them in acid and shoot them out. And it's going to have like an artillery saddle with like catapults and stuff on it, something along those lines, which just sounds completely awesome. I'm super excited to test this creature out. And number 10 is the Wyling. This is another new creature coming to Aberration. It's going to be exclusive to Aberration. This one actually comes out on September 4th with Aberration's launch. So this one's going to be coming out pretty soon as well. This one I'm pretty excited for. It was voted in by the community again, and it has some pretty cool abilities. You can basically like glide around and I think climb up walls too. So the thing is, it's probably going to make getting rock drake eggs a lot easier, which I'm not entirely sure about, but at the same time, this one looks pretty cool. I definitely am excited to use it. And number 11 is the Helicoprion. This is another Arcadations creature coming to the base game, and I would say this one's going to come pretty soon if I had to guess, because this one's already done. It's not getting a TLC or anything. I mean, that could change, but I don't think it will. The main ability this thing has is it can actually turn just regular items into blueprints, but it does have a chance of destroying them, which is definitely going to be a game changer, because being able to turn certain items into blueprints would just be really useful, especially in PvP and PvE as well. I mean, just all around, that'd be insanely useful. So definitely excited to see how this one works. And number 12 is there's going to be the new Fantastic Tames creatures. These are like DLCs. They're like $5 and you get a creature with it. They only have one out right now, and it's the Pyromane. You basically pay $5 and you'll be able to have access to the creature. And I'm assuming there's just going to be more of these, because they said that there's going to be more. This is part of a thing called the Arc Fantastic Tames. And I'm guessing, since this one dropped with the center, that they're going to come out with just all the custom maps. So when Ragnarok launches, it'll probably get a Fantastic Tame. And when, what's the next one? Volguero and Lost Island and Fjordur drop, Crystal Isles, those ones will probably all get Fantastic Tames with them as well. So there'll be new $5 DLCs with new fantasy type creatures. I think it's cool that there's new fantasy type creatures as well as real world creatures, and not just only having new real world creatures and only having new fantasy creatures, for example. Having just a mix of both, I think, is really cool. And number 13 is there's going to be a new canon expansion, or a new canon DLC map. This is probably the one I'm most excited for, but it's also the one that we have probably the least information on. All we know is there's going to be new canon expansion. It even says expansions at the bottom right here. It just says to be announced, so we have no idea. Some people are saying these will come out after when Fjordur comes out, which is in October of 2025, but it's probably going to get delayed to like December of 2025 or even early 2026 that Fjordur comes out. So it could be a while before we end up getting this one, or it could come out some other time. We don't really know. Like I said, it's to be announced. I've heard some people say that this is basically just the Bob's Tall Tale DLC, but it's definitely not, because they announced both of these at the same time, and I'm pretty sure they would have just said it was Bob Tall Tales at that time, because they were both announced during the Extra Life event stream, which, of course, so that wouldn't really make much sense if they were the same thing. I definitely assure you that this is a new DLC map, or that's what else would a new canon expansion be? There wouldn't really be anything else for it to be. And number 14 is there's going to be new creatures with the Bob's Tall Tale DLC. With Scorched Earth release, there was the Oasisaur, which was part of the Bob's Tall Tales, and it's pretty safe to assume that Aberration and Extinction will be getting their own new creatures as well, alongside their voted-in creatures, the Wyling and Dreadnoughtus. Now, we have no idea what these creatures are. They will be announced at some point, and I imagine the Aberration one will probably be announced within the next few weeks, or at least some point in August. Definitely in some point in August, it'll probably be announced what it is, because it was pretty close to that time for Scorched Earth when they announced the Oasisaur. But I'm pretty excited to see these new creatures, except for they, of course, will be part of these DLCs as well, and you'll have to buy the DLC to own it. But if you already have the Bob's Tall Tale DLC for Scorched Earth, then you'll already have access to these new creatures when they do release. At number 15 is a surprise. Now, this is one we have literally no idea what it is. All it says is November 2024, and of course that date could end up changing, so we don't even really know when it is going to be announced. Could be November 2024, or it could be some other time, but we don't really know what this is. I'm assuming it's something really big though, because everything else on this roadmap is really big. I mean, they're all new maps, and then there's Survival of the Fittest, which is a really big game mode. So it's probably something pretty massive that hasn't been announced yet. So I'm very curious to see what this thing is going to be. I guess only time will tell, because there's so many things it could be. It could be like a new map, maybe TLC updates, something else. It's kind of impossible to know. But after that, at number 16 is the Concavinator. This is a new creature from the Ark Editions mod, and the footage here is from Ark Survival Evolved, because this one isn't in Ark Ascended yet, but once it does come, it's going to get a TLC update as well, so it's not going to look like this. It's going to look pretty different, but it will probably have the same abilities, which is being able to swim in the sand. It can kind of jump out. It can like wag its tail, and then that will make like a dust cloud, which will like suffocate things. And it'll like slow them down as well, so that's going to be a really cool ability to mess around with. And then number 17 is the Cryolophosaurus. This is same story as the Concave Editor. It's getting a TLC update, and it's still in Ark Survival Evolved right now, so you're going to have to see the footage from there. But this one's pretty cool as well. It has like an ice breath. If you like drink the snow or water, you can use the ice breath on this thing, as well as you can kind of like shoot a little goop out as well. So it has like this two little different options there. At number 18 is there's new creature votes. So pretty much every single map has had a creature vote for a new creature to be added to it. There was the Gigaraptor voted in, which is originally going to be on Ragnarok, but it ended up getting added to all maps. And then there was the Fossilosuchus, which ended up being added to Scorched Earth, and that was the creature that was voted in for Scorched Earth. And then there was the Shastasaurus, which was voted in for the Center. So all these maps have had creatures voted in, and then of course there's ones that still haven't came out yet, like the Wyling voted for Aberration, and then the Dreadnoughtus voted for Extinction, but they haven't done any more votes yet. But it's pretty much been confirmed by the devs that they're going to start doing more votes for maps that haven't gotten them yet, like Valguero and Genesis Part 1 and 2. We'll just have to wait to see when those votes eventually come out. At number 19 is the engine upgrade. So Jeremy Stiglitz, who's one of the main developers for Ark, basically announced that it's going to be upgrading to Unreal Engine 5.4, which is going to result in major improvements to performance. Now, we don't really know how major those improvements actually are going to be, and if they're going to impact that massively. But he also confirmed that it's going to be coming out on September 4th, which is the same day Aberration comes out. So with Aberration, there's going to be huge performance changes. Now with the release of Aberration and this at the same time, that could result in there being a lot of bugs that day, so we'll just have to see, but hopefully it does end up being a good thing. And number 20 is tech creatures. The tech creatures aren't in Ark Survival Ascended yet, and I imagine they're probably going to come in at some point. I've heard a lot of people say they're going to come with Extinction, which does make sense, of course, because if you don't know, the tech creatures were added when Extinction was originally coming out in like 2018 with Extinction Chronicles, so it would make sense if they added the tech creatures then. But at the same time, I don't think that's been confirmed. I could be wrong, but I guarantee that these probably will come into the game at some point, as Genesis Part 1 also has a crap ton of tech creatures on it and the lunar biome, so they would need to add them at least before Genesis Part 1 comes out, or when Genesis Part 1 comes out. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video. If you guys did enjoy or find it helpful, make sure to leave a like and also subscribe. Thanks for watching, and bye.